Oh wow, she changed her shirt, so this must be a different day that she's filming, and definitely not immediately after filming Saturday's video. Hi everybody, I told you I was going to be posting every Wednesday and Saturday, and it is Wednesday and I am here unless I somehow messed up something and this isn't going up on Wednesday, in which case I suck and I'm sorry. And I didn't mention in my last video, but I am filming a bunch of videos on the same day, and that happens to be the day that I am sick and the day that I went to Halloween Horror Nights the night before until about 2 a.m. and woke up not like this. But I'm muscling through because I have the promise that after this I will get to sit on the couch with coffee and watch The Haunting of Hill House because it's still October, it just came out. Do not at me! Anyways, that's enough talking about why am I like this? Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. If you saw the title, you know that we're gonna be talking about my favorite writing resources. I'm talking specifically about writing, writerly, craft-related books. I'm gonna be talking about 4 of my favorite writerly books, 2 of which are very popular and a lot of people talk about, 2 of which I don't ever see anybody talk about, which is kind of weird. So without further ado, let's just jump into this. So we'll go ahead and get the Writer's Bible Tomb Ultimate Guide out of the way, and that is Stephen King's On Writing. Now, as you can see, little baby writer me, a couple years back when I got this book, found a lot of important things in it. You can't overstate how essential this book is. This book to me is writing 101. It's part memoir, part instructional guide, just entertaining, brilliant, so many good tips and tricks, so many relatable anecdotes. You just have to get it. If you haven't read this one, I just feel like other people might say there are books like if you haven't read this, then you're not ready to be a writer. But for me, this is the book you need to read to be a writer. If you're not into Stephen King's work, that doesn't really matter in terms of this book. You don't have to be writing horror, you don't have to be a horror fan to understand that Stephen King is a prolific, brilliant writer. He's had a career spanning, 40 plus years at this point. He's one of the most famous writers ever, and he has just poured his soul into this book to let you know what you need to do in order to find the well of ideas and creativity and discipline within you to write even a 10th of a thousandth of the way that he writes. So, required reading. This book is for the textbook nerd in me and the AP literature loving nerd in me, and that is Mark Forsythe's The Elements of Eloquence. I never hear anybody talking about this, and it disturbs me because this book takes apart famous, timeless, classic pieces of literature and shows you how the elements of style go into writing pieces that are memorable, goes into writing sentences that make you go, that make you catch your breath, that stand out in your mind. And so for me, the Elements of Eloquence is super helpful for me. I love a good turn of phrase. The most satisfied that I feel when I'm writing is not when I figure out a plot twist, it's when I write a particularly interesting or cool phrase. Not in a purple prose way, not in a look how smart I am type of way. That's what evokes feeling in me when I read. So when I'm able to turn a phrase in a way that I go, ooh, okay, that was pretty good or whatever. This book is what helped me figure out what stylistic elements stick out to readers and what makes a turn of phrase memorable or satisfying. So obviously all 4 of the books I'm showing you I would consider required reading, but it's not as interesting as On Writing, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a little dry, it's a little textbooky, but it's worth it to me because it's gonna really help you come into your own stylistically as a writer when you understand how famous writer like Shakespeare's in here, Mark Twain, Jane Austen, like all the greats, like all the classic people are in here, and he breaks down how they sort of develop their own style, what their style is, how they put the words in the order that they put them in. Like, it's all very interesting, like syntax stuff that really helped me a lot kind of hone my own voice. Now, this one is, I never hear anyone mention this book ever, and I don't know if it's because I like this guy's work or because this reminds me of Stephen King's On Writing, but for a different generation almost, I don't know. But it's Ray Bradbury's Zen and the Art of Writing. I like Ray Bradbury a lot. One of my favorite books is a book that he wrote called Something Wicked, This Way Comes. We all know Fahrenheit 451 and Graveyard for Lunatics and all those books. Like, he's obviously an amazing, prolific writer. These are just essays. These are straight up creative essays like that he wrote that kind of detail his life as a writer, kind of the things that he went through. There's also one by Ernest Hemingway that's very similar to this. But I prefer Ray Bradbury's style more. I relate to him more, and the genre that I write is sort of closer to his than it is to Ernest Hemingway. I'm not a white man living in Cuba, like talking about whales and stuff. So this kind of resonates more with me. And I mean, if you write about whales and being an expat, like obviously read Ernest Hemingway's version, but if you write Ernest Hemingway type stuff, I don't really know why you're watching my channel. I mean, welcome, but like, that's weird. But I just find his honesty and vulnerability in this book really refreshing. I really like how he reflects on his success, and it kind of quells my worries and my doubts about my imposter syndrome, because as soon as my book came out, I was like, oh cool, like it was so anticlimactic for me because like, yeah, it was exciting and everything, but then I was like, okay, well, what's next? Like, what am I gonna do now? Like, great, like now people are gonna form opinions on me based on my book and stuff. And like, he has all those worries about like Fahrenheit 451 in here. Like, obviously that was his biggest hit, but he wrote books before and after that, so like it's just a really interesting dive into a really prolific, great writer's mind, and the worries and the doubts and the places where he sources his inspiration from. And I really enjoyed this book, and if you're looking just for like that extra creative kick in the pants and like that extra push to push through your doubts, I would read Zen and the Art of Writing. And the final writing resource that I want to talk about today is one of my favorite books ever, and you can tell because it's very dirty, and that is Lamottes Bird by Bird. Now this is kind of like Stephen King's On Writing as well. It's part memoir, part like textbook. Anne Lamott is fucking brilliant. She is so witty and so engaging, and I related to her story a lot. There was a lot of parts of this that I was like, wow, it's me. I first read this book when I was 19 or 20 years old, and I have a post-it in here that says hang this somewhere, and I highlighted a quote. And it says, perfectionism is the voice of the oppressor, the enemy of the people. It will keep you cramped and insane your whole life, and it is the main obstacle between you and a shitty first draft. Perfectionism is based on the obsessive belief that if you run carefully enough, you won't have to die. The truth is that you will die anyway, and that a lot of people who aren't even looking at their feet are gonna do a whole lot better than you and have a whole lot more fun while they're doing it. So that's one of like thousands of things that she says that was so helpful for me as a young adult, and still to this day as a person who's like kind of more confident in their craft. You know, I have something to show for my work. I'm a published author now, and you know, that's cool and everything, but I still have crippling doubt. I still have perfectionism syndrome and imposter syndrome. And besides teaching you a lot of cool things about the way like writers' brains work, the way the creative mind works, this book just like takes perfectionism and shoots it in its face. Like, it's just like, it really helped me understand that it doesn't have to be perfect the first time, and it doesn't have to be perfect ever, because perfectionism is stupid. And that was something I really needed as a young adult, and sometimes I still really need it, and I still have to go back and read that and read a lot of other little quotes that I postmarked in here, that I posted. Postmarked? Who are we? I'm sick. Yeah, these are the 4 main writing resources that I would suggest. If you have any other suggestions, please let me know in the comments. I know everyone talks about Save the Cat. I've never read Save the Cat. I just don't know why I never have picked it up, but please let me know if there's any writing resources you think that I need to read. I love learning about the craft, and like, this might sound a little bit elitist, and I don't mean it to be, But I think the technicality and like the craft of writing is really, really important. And I think anybody can be a writer, but if you want to be successful, or you want to get better, or you want to grow and learn, you gotta learn the technical, like you gotta learn some of this craft stuff. For me, it was always super interesting, and it may not be interesting to you, but I think if you want to grow and thrive as an author and start to see like more success and more transformation of your drafts and more expansion of your creative sort of wells, learn the craft, learn the technical craft. And that's gonna be it for today's video. I'm gonna go eat a cough drop and probably film another video. I'm posting every Saturday and Wednesday here in November, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye.